What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to NFL Turf Talk. As always, I am one half of your host here, Dylan Davis. You can find me on Twitter at DylanJD98. And of course, to my right, my faithful co-host, Scotty. Check him out on Twitter at Scotty Drown as we stream to you guys live on DSM Media through our Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook channel. So you know the drill. If you're new to the channel, head on over to at DSM_media on Twitter. You can hit that follow button and also click the link tree in our bio to take you to every social media platform we are available on. We're also available on TikTok, Instagram, many other places, TeePublic, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. So we're all over the place. Wherever you get your content, wherever you get your podcast, check us out at DSM Media. Scotty, what's going on, buddy?
Hey, man, not much. Definitely excited to get into some more NFL talk. We're switching it up a little bit, so we're not going AFC South with the big news. We're going NFC South. So I'm excited to get into it. It's an interesting division. But happy Sunday to you, my friend.
You too, man. Like we said before the show, it's not Sunday until the fall comes around. Like this 10 a.m. show, I'm normally on an NFL Sunday. I'm up and ready to go at 7:45, 8 a.m. Like it's full go for the whole day. July 10th, breaking down the NFC South. I was like, oh, do I want to get up today? But here we are. And no, it'll be fun. So we were going to do the AFC South, like you said. We normally rotate conference by conference, week to week. But with the obvious Baker Mayfield on the travel news to Carolina, we had to stick to the NFC and go with the South Division here. Because that news is huge, dude. So before we break down this division, and what we do here, guys, is we break down each offense by passing and rushing attacks, and then we go to the defensive side of the ball. We do the pass rush / run stopping defense, and then the pass defense, and kind of rank them 1 through 4. And then after we go through all that, we get through our end of the year rankings, so to speak, where we think each team will finish in the division race. And then we'll do a fun little fantasy draft and wrap this episode up with our top 10 running backs heading into the 2022 season. With that being said, Scotty has all of the major additions and subtractions from the NFC South division. So here we go.
Yes, sir. So we could start with the New Orleans Saints. And like I said here, just get involved in the comments, guys. We definitely want your opinion on the NFC South, running backs all throughout the show. So definitely get involved, Facebook, YouTube. As far as the additions, subtractions for each team, we'll start with the New Orleans Saints. Just some main additions this offseason. Jarvis Landry obviously fills a void at wide receiver. They drafted Chris Olave, who was one of my favorite wide receivers in the draft. They also picked up Marcus May, safety. I believe he was on the Jets last. No, I think he was actually traded. Yeah, he was traded from the Seahawks to the Jets. So, yeah, he was on the Jets. He's a pretty solid safety. And then, of course, Tyrann Mathieu. They picked him up late in the offseason. Some key losses. Malcolm Jenkins, he retired, as we know. Marcus Williams, he was another strong safety. He went over to Baltimore. Mm-hmm. Teron Armstead, their long-standing, strong side tackle. That hurts their offensive line, obviously. I believe he went to the Texans. He might have. It's either the Texans or the Dolphins, I think. But I could be totally wrong there. I just know he got a big contract with somebody else. And then Ty Montgomery, just another running back that they were using last year that they ended up losing out on. So they didn't lose a ton.
He's with the Dolphins now, Scotty.
Gotcha. All right, so that makes sense. But yeah, that's what we're looking at for the Saints. So I mean, they made some solid additions. They lost some solid leadership. So we'll see how it translates. All in all, I think they're around the same level team. I mean, you get Jameis Winston back this year. I guess you could count that as an addition.
Sure.
We'll see how it pans out in the rankings and stuff as far as Jameis Winston and what your thoughts are on him. But this Saints team's interesting. We'll talk about it. It's hard for me to find a place for them in my mind. You know what I mean? They're just kind of very mid. The Falcons, yeah, that's the only word I can think of. Honestly,
great.
They're just very mid.
I agree, dude. I don't know what to say about them. If the quarterback play, and we'll get into that, if he can find a way to step up, they have pieces in that receiver.
They can be good.
Receiver room.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll get into the Saints in a little bit.
Just depends how much you love Jameis.
Very mid. I like
it. So we'll go to the Falcons next. We had the Falcons. They were able to pick up Drake London, obviously, in the draft. He was a huge draft pick. Very, big size wide receiver. So I'm excited to see what he can do. They added Marcus Mariota, so that's going to be their starting quarterback this year. Good luck with that. Auden Tate, they added him from the Bengals, another wide receiver. Brian Edwards, another wide receiver. So they tried to bolster that wide receiver room. Eddie Goldman, defensive tackle, and then Casey Hayward, DBs. So they were able to add some depth on defense, some veterans on defense. As far as losses, biggest ones, Matt Ryan. That was their quarterback for a long time. He went over to the Colts, so you lose your starting quarterback in Matt Ryan. They also lost Dante Fowler, Mike Davis, running back, Fabian Morrow, safety, and Russell Gage, who went over to the Bucks, wide receiver. We'll move to the Panthers really quick. Obviously, the biggest addition for the Panthers this offseason was just last week. Baker Mayfield, they traded for him, got him for close to nothing.
To nothing. Yeah, I do want to get into that trade before anything as well.
It's interesting, what they got him for. They also picked up that longtime punter for the Rams, Johnny Hecker. I just thought that was interesting. Xavier Woods, safety. Matt Corral, they drafted him, quarterback. Matt Ioannidis, linebacker, defensive tackle. And then Rashard Higgins out at the wide receiver spot. Lost a few guys, Morgan Fox, AJ Bowie, Troy Pride, some defensive back losses, but nothing serious on that side. And then finally, the Tampa Bay Bucks. We all know what the Bucks are about. The biggest move for them was Tom Brady not retiring.
Unretiring.
Yeah, unretiring is what we should call it. So obviously I mentioned they added Russell Gage, Logan Ryan. That's a solid addition as well at the safety spot. They were able to keep Chris Godwin as well, even though he's coming off that torn ACL. They still were able to keep one of their top wide receivers. They added Shaq Mason, Akeem Hicks, Keanu Neal. So more veterans, more leadership, guys that can add to the fold for the Bucks. Obviously, they lost Rob Gronkowski. He retired. Le'Veon Bell. I just put that on there for a laugh. Ali Marpet and Alex Kappa, so offensive linemen. They lost some depth there. Jason Pierre-Paul and Ndamukong Suh, Jordan Whitehead, Antonio Brown. So they lost a couple, key pieces of that original championship team, but they also refilled with a lot of veterans as well. So I'm not putting too much weight on some of their losses. The one thing that concerns me is the offensive linemen, but we'll get into all of that and see where they really stand.
I mean, I'm looking at this depth chart for the Bucks here, and listen, they better make some depth moves or move some pieces around on that line because Vita Vea is going to play every snap. They don't have a nose tackle listed beyond Vita Vea on the depth chart, and they run a 3-4. So they better, move some guys around. Edge rushers are going to have to play up the middle, or they're going to have to make some adjustments there with their roster because limited depth on the D line after you lose Sue and JPP for sure. But
which I guess those guys are getting older. Who knows what Ndamukong Suh is commanding on the market, but I don't know. I would have at least brought one of them back, I think. Yeah. I probably would have brought Sue back, obviously, to put him behind Vita Vea there.
But yeah, man, before we get into anything with breaking down this division, I do want to get into the Baker trade for a second. Because it obviously, shocked the NFL world for a second. It kind of came out of nowhere. We were taught the first division we broke down was the AFC North, and we talked about that quarterback room and what they're going to do, and if Deshaun Watson's out this year or suspended for however long, Baker's not going to play. He's not showing up. And now that's not an option for the Browns. He is gone. But from a Panthers perspective, like I sent the trade to some people, and people think the Panthers aren't any better. I think this makes the Panthers a lot better. You could talk about what you gave up. You gave up nothing. You gave up a slice of bread for him. Okay. You have a 2024 conditional 5th rounder that can turn into a 4th rounder. Are we joking? For the former number 1 overall pick for the quarterback position, No matter how mid he might be, as you said earlier, Scotty, with the Saints, he's still a quarterback in the NFL that has won games. He took the Browns from a 1-win team all the way up to their first playoff win. Okay. So you can have whatever opinion on Baker Mayfield. He's still a serviceable quarterback in this league. And if you go back before last year, what were the Browns considered, Scotty?
Contenders.
Right. Now, obviously, the rest of their roster is loaded, and it was loaded then. But you have to have the quarterback in place to be considered a contender. That's what they were. I know he had a down year last year. He was hurt, and he played through that injury most of the year.
Yep.
Okay, so his numbers, they took a hit. The Browns, they took a step back because of his play and his injury, right? I love this move for the Panthers because I think Baker is fine in a system, and I think Matt Rule and that coaching staff will have a system in place. A huge piece to all of this is going to be if CMC can stay healthy. That's going to make or break this offense's identity. And then obviously when you talk about DJ Moore on the outside, DJ Moore might be a top 10, top 12 wide receiver now with an actual quarterback under center. You still have Robbie Anderson. And then who am I missing as a third? Terrace Marshall is still there from last year out of LSU, right? So if CMC stays healthy, I think they can have a dynamic offense because Baker is somewhat mobile. Baker can move the pocket. Baker and CMC obviously catches a ton of balls. He can average eight balls per game through the air. So I think what they can do offensively is going to be really, really different than previous years and what it would have been under Sam Darnold. So I think it's an A+ move for the Panthers. Not because it's Baker Mayfield, but because I think he brings something to this offense they didn't have, and they gave up nothing to get it. And the Browns, I mean, at least you got something for him because the dude simply wasn't going to play for your organization. So I guess you could say they got something, but a conditional 5th rounder 2 years from now for the former number 1 overall pick who did a lot for your franchise, kind of a slap in the face.
Yeah, no, to say the least. And there's two sides of this Baker situation in Carolina for me. And like you said, I think it's a win-win for Carolina. What do you got to lose when you're giving up that for a former number 1 overall pick? I guess the thing for me is last season when I went into that season, the Browns were a contender, and I think that was universal consensus. Baker Mayfield was the quarterback of that team, and we can't just ignore that he was injured, that, players were in and out of the lineup. There was injuries around him as well. The offensive line was beat up. Running backs were in and out. Wide receivers in and out. You traded OBJ like mid-season to the Rams. So, just a lot of different things, happening last season. And it fell apart. I mean, it happens. Like, contenders, you get throttled with injuries. It happens. Not every team can stay and fight through everything, like we've seen some of these Eagles teams even do, right? Injuries, they mount up and they accumulate, and this is what you see happens. And people are just forgetting that happened to Baker Mayfield, that he had a major shoulder injury, couldn't really throw the football at all. And he's got a whole offseason to, get healthy. And the Browns didn't give him that benefit of the doubt that he was going to come back healthy, that he was going to come back better. And, I guess you can have your opinions on Deshaun Watson. We've talked about that in the past already. But was it worth it when you're going to miss Deshaun Watson for this entire season, most likely?
No.
And you have a team that is ready right now, and you're going to put Jacoby Brissett out there. It was wrong in my eyes. I think, Baker, if you want to do that deal, Browns, I'm not sure how many other teams were hopping on that Deshaun Watson case, especially with him about to be suspended for a year. You could have waited
up a
another
king's
season
ransom for him.
Yeah. I feel you could have waited another season, and you could have made that same deal. So, like, I don't know. I thought it was wrong. I thought they kind of just threw this season, out, by doing it in hindsight now. But as far as Baker Mayfield, if you believe the Browns were a contender last year, which, like I said, universally, I think we all did, then Baker Mayfield and the Panthers this year makes them a playoff team. I
agree.
on paper, there's a lot of contenders that,
Right.
and when I say contenders, I mean to make the playoffs.
Right.
There's a lot of different teams in the NFC that can make the playoffs, that have a caliber team that can. Panthers are one of those teams with Baker Mayfield. I was never a Sam Darnold guy. I know we got a little excited with Sam Darnold early on last season. They had a really easy schedule. He's not the guy. We know that. They brought in Matt Corral. It's interesting to see that QB room. That's a solid, highly touted QB room, as far as draft projections. But I do think Baker Mayfield makes him better. Just to be transparent, I think he's the second best quarterback in the division now. And obviously that's behind Tom Brady. I thought it was a good move for the Panthers. I know they've been trying to find a quarterback these last couple years between Teddy Bridgewater, Sam Darnold down the line. So ever since Cam Newton, they've been going through the ringer. So hopefully Baker Mayfield can bring some stability there.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree, dude. And like I said, I think a lot of what they can do this year, and a lot of his success, but the team's success is going to rely on if the running back can stay healthy. If Christian McCaffrey cannot stay healthy again, they might be in a little bit of trouble yet again. But I'm also very interested to see how it affects DJ Moore, because DJ Moore has shown the ability to be, a top talent as at the wide receiver position in this league, and he's never really had a true professional quarterback under center.
Yeah.
So now you give him that with Baker Mayfield, like you said, should be healthy now. That offense could be a little bit of Carolina. They might just be fun. Like before, if I had to watch Sam Darnold and they were the game on Fox at 1:00 and the Eagles weren't on and whatever, like no, Red Zone would be on immediately because I don't want to watch Sam Darnold. I want to watch Baker. I want to watch Baker. And listen, week 1, I hope they're on TV because guess what? It's Browns and it's Panthers and it's Baker's revenge game. Okay, so I'll definitely be tuning into that week 1. And I'm sure when we get to week 1, that's going to be one of our games of the week, Scotty. But with all that said, we went over the additions, we went over the subtractions, we went over the Baker Mayfield news and trade. Let's get into the divisional breakdown, and we'll start on the offensive side of the ball because that's where we've started this entire episode so far. Let's get right to it with the passing attack. You kind of already hinted at what your top 2 rankings are going to be, but we're going to start at the bottom half with number 4 in the passing attack in the NFC South. I'll start us off. I'm simply going to go with the Atlanta Falcons. Listen, the number 3 and 4 teams in this division right now for me, the 2015 draft class is going to be at battle this year. Former number 1 and number 2 overall picks in the same class, Marcus Mariota and Jameis Winston, are going to battle each other out twice this season. But I got to go with the Falcons for a few reasons. A, I don't like either quarterback when it comes to Jameis or Marcus Mariota in terms of winning games, but I think Jameis can at least move the ball down the field. Jameis still has a strong arm. They're going to be somewhat fun a little bit as a passing attack when you look at the wide receiver room. Fantasy numbers, I think Jameis is going to put up good fantasy numbers this year, but Marcus Mariota is not it for me. There's a reason he hasn't been a starter for the past couple of seasons in the NFL. And you even go to their wide receiver room. Yes, I know they have a freak young stud tight end in Kyle Pitts, who essentially is wide receiver 1 for them. I know they went out and drafted Drake London. That's TBD still, but you go past that. Bryan Edwards, Scotty, I'm not even going to try to pronounce Alamedi Zacchaeus.
Yeah, I think it's like Zacchaeus.
Zacchaeus. Okay, like I do not love their wide receiver room. I know there's a lot of hype around Drake London. Again, you have to see it first. And then Kyle Pitts, second-year tight end. How much is he going to really, impact the wide receiver room specifically? Marcus Mariota is not it. So Falcons number 4 for me.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. And Philly, the podcast checking in. Yeah, up early, 10 a.m. every Sunday throughout the football season. Be here, be square. Yes, no. When we're looking at I'm with you. Falcons number 4 for me in passing attack. It's strictly Marcus Mariota, offensive line. I'm not sure what they're going to be able to do. Marcus Mariota is a mobile quarterback, but like you said, he's a guy that sat behind Derek Carr the last few seasons. And just back and forth ever since he's left Tennessee. Lost his job to Ryan Tannehill down there.
Yeah, man, like that's just story enough. If you lose your job to Ryan Tannehill, that's it. Come on.
So yeah, the wide receiver room, Drake London, obviously he was one of the top wide receivers in the draft, but like you said, you got to wait for these young guys to come to fruition. Kyle Pitts, I think obviously he's a stud, but you can't just win a game with one stud
No,
tight end.
no. What's Kyle
So
Pitts
yeah,
gonna have to average 185 yards per game for the passing attack to be relevant? Like,
Cordell Patterson, he
he's a
adds a
running
little.
back
He
now. Like,
makes it
what's
exciting,
happening in
but yeah.
Atlanta? What is happening in Atlanta?
Desmond Ritter, do we see him at some point this season? If they
I bet
struggle
you
a
do.
little.
I bet you do. So,
Number 3, Saints.
yeah,
I'm the same with you. I do love their wide receiver room.
you do.
I'm bullish on Jameis Winston. I'm not sure there. Michael
one
Thomas,
thing real
Jarvis
quick.
Landry, Chris Olave, Traquan Smith. I mean, they're stacked at wide receiver.
Yeah. So one thing real quick in terms of Jameis is I'm not a Jameis fan in terms of winning football games. I really don't think the Saints, especially when we get to the rushing attack, they're missing Alvin Kamara for 6 games this year. I believe it's 6, right? Not more.
Yeah.
So you're missing that. What is Michael Thomas at this point? We haven't seen Michael Thomas on a football field in how long? Over a year and a half.
Yeah,
going
year
on
and a
2
half,
years, probably,
maybe.
right? So you don't know what he is. Obviously, Chris Olave, rookie, highly touted, just like Drake London. Got to see it first. And then Jarvis Landry. Love the addition. He's older. What does he still have left in the tank? I do think that the Saints can put up I think Jameis can put up a lot of yards. I think they could be fun a little bit through the air, but they're going to have to rely on him early on in the season without Alvin Kamara. And I don't think you can do that to win games. I think the Saints could very well be like a 2-4 team to start the year under Jameis Winston, and that's why you're number 3.
Yeah, and that's a good point as far as starting the season out because Kamara's missing the first 6 games. These teams, a couple of these teams go through the ringer with their schedule early on in the season. I think it was either the Panthers or the Falcons where I had them starting like 1-6 or 1-7. Just based off the teams that they were playing in the first part of the season. So that Kamara injury is going to hurt them. It's going to hurt their chances. Obviously, going towards like the wild card round of the playoffs. They could be a team there, similar to the Panthers, I would say, as far as that. But yeah, coming in at 3rd for me. Number 2, I think we're on the same track here. Panthers.
If we're not, there's a problem.
Yeah, exactly. So I went to Panthers here. Obviously, I told you, I think that Baker Mayfield is the 2nd best quarterback in the division. I think they have 2nd or 3rd best level of weapons. I love DJ Moore. If you factor CMC into the passing game, it makes it look a lot better.
Which you have to because he's a big part of their passing attack when he's on the field.
Right. He's a dual threat, legitimately. So you got him. You got Robbie Anderson, Terrace Marshall Jr. Like you said, Rashard Higgins added him to the mix. They got some nice wide receivers. They bolstered their offensive line a bit, to protect Baker. So hopefully they can keep him on his feet, keep him healthy, and they should have a solid year passing the ball. I think he's going to have fun out there with DJ Moore and Robbie Anderson.
Yeah, I'm with you, dude. And listen, Baker in some divisions would maybe have an argument for number 1 in a weaker division. If the greatest of all time didn't dislike, if he didn't unretire, Baker's number 1 in this division. Like, depending on what Tampa goes out and do, unless they're sticking with Blaine Gabbert or Kyle Trask. But when you're talking about the GOAT, and then you look at the wide receiver room, I mean, my God, Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, you had Russell Gage, Cameron Brate's back. They're definitely easily a top 5 wide receiver room in the whole National Football League, if not even higher than that. And you add that in with the greatest of all time, who's going to be competing for a Super Bowl again. So it's more so Panthers 2 by default because not putting many people above the GOAT, brother.
Yeah, two by default. And I would say that on both sides in a sense, because there are several divisions where Baker might be 3rd or 4th in that division.
Right.
So give or take, but yeah, well, I'm with you with the Bucks. It's you can leave it at that. It's Tom Brady. It's the GOAT. Until he is gone, they're going to have the best passing offense in the division.
Until Max Kellerman's cliff comes.
Yeah, until that cliff comes, which I'm not sure how close that really is.
What was that, 2016, 2017, that cliff?
we'll see. We'll see how long Chris Godwin takes to get back on the field. I'm sure that will be reassuring once Tom Brady gets him back. But Tyler Johnson, Brashad Perryman, Scotty Miller. I mean, they're pretty stacked at wide
Yeah,
receiver. And then Russell Gage. Everybody is loving what they're seeing out of him. Apparently, Tom Brady's really excited to get him out there and work with him. So we might see him explode, compared to what we saw from him in Atlanta, which he was steady in Atlanta, but
well,
nothing
especially
crazy.
because he's a guy that can play in the slot.
Exactly.
So when
Tom Brady's gonna love that.
when Chris Godwin does come back, that's dangerous. When you're talking about Mike Evans, a top 10 wide receiver on the outside, Chris Godwin, probably a top 15 receiver on the other side, if not a little higher. And then you throw in Russell Gage, who was explosive on a weak Atlanta offense in previous years. I mean, hey, there's a reason. There's a reason Tom's probably a little happy about that, but pretty sure Russell Gage is probably a little happy about that too.
Exactly, playing with Tom Brady. Why
so we're the same in the passing attack. I don't even know if anyone would argue this order. You have to go Marcus Mariota and the Falcons 4, Jameis Winston and that receiving room, and with the Saints 3, Baker number 2 with the Panthers, and then number 1, the greatest of all time, Tom Brady and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Getting into the rushing attack, this one's going to be interesting too, dude, because my I think we're leaning. We'll see what happens, but between my 1 and 2, a suspension comes into play. Because you have to, I can't just ignore that you're out for 6 games. Like, I'm taking in what you're doing this season. And if you miss over a third of the season, well, we got to talk about it. So at number 4, surprise, surprise, same team as the passing attack, the Atlanta Falcons. I know Cordero Patterson had a nice fantasy football season last year. I know Cordero Patterson shocked some people. He shocked Eagles fans week 1 when this former wide receiver and special teams player starts getting the ball out of the backfield, and he goes for over 100. He went for over 100 multiple times last year. It's cool. It's nice. They have no depth. You go beyond that. Damian Williams comes in. Is that the Damian Williams from Kansas City?
Yeah, Chicago.
So they bring him in. Cool. But when you look at the other teams in this division, the way they run the ball effectively and efficiently, who they have in their backfield, I got to go with the Falcons at number 4.
Yeah, I'm going Falcons at 4 as well. I mean, it's pretty simple. I do think Marcus Mariota adds a little bit of a dynamic factor to the rushing attack with Cordero Patterson, but offensive line TBD. Running back room, not the greatest. It's a wide receiver converted.
The quarterback's not a threat, so he's not.
Quarterback's not great. You don't have a ton of talent on the outside that you have to respect. That's gonna, keep guys out of the box. They're gonna have a hard time running the football, in my opinion. But we'll see. Cordell Patterson made something of it last season. We'll see if that was like a one-hit wonder or if he'll be able to continue some success into this season.
So I'm interested to see. I'm going to defer to you here with number 3 because, like I said earlier, that suspension is going to come into play, but not yet for me, which is tough because I think this team as a group can really run the ball efficiently at number 3. But who do you have as your third team in the rushing attack?
Yeah, I got the Tampa Bay Bucks,
Okay, yeah.
and they run the ball decently. I mean, Leonard Fournette is solid. But we'll see. As far as them losing a few guys on that offensive line, a few long-standing guys in that offensive line, we'll see how fast they can pick up the chemistry there. Maybe they have to rely on Tom Brady a little bit more earlier on in the season until they get some of their weapons back. But I'm just going with the Bucks there, kind of default. They run the ball pretty well. It's not really that they don't have a good running game. I just think the two teams ahead of them have a better running game. They have better running backs as well.
Way better running backs, but I was just thinking with that offensive line, with the quarterback play, the way they're able to just mix in the run and gash you a little bit here. And they're deep, dude. Like, obviously, Leonard Fournette, playoff Lenny, is the number 1 running back there, but you go on Gio Bernard, who played a decent amount last year, is their 4th option on the depth chart right now. So,
yeah.
But I agree. They are number 3, kind of by default. We say that a lot with these rankings because of just how talented some players are in these skill positions. Number 2, this is where the suspension has to come into play for me. If there was no suspension, Alvin Kamara, they would be number 1, but there is, and I think it's going to affect them greatly. I know they brought back Mark Ingram. What's he, like 45 now? I don't know. They're going to have to rely heavily on Jameis Winston early on in the season. So just because of the suspension, you can't miss 6 games and expect me to still put you as number one rushing attack in this division, especially because number one ain't no slouch either. Because if he's healthy, he's arguably better than number two. But we haven't seen it in about 2 years now, and of course, I took him number one overall back-to-back years in fantasy football, and it hasn't worked out. So my number one is the Carolina Panthers and Christian McCaffrey. His health is everything. Just like Kamara's suspension is everything for me in these rankings. And the addition of Baker, like if Sam Darnold was there, I think the suspension and the Panthers would meet a little more evenly because I think teams can just stack the box and load up on the Panthers. You can't really do that now with Baker. And like I said, the way that Baker can kind of move the pocket, they can do a little bit of that RPO stuff we know the Eagles love to do that he's done in Cleveland. Just the total package there. I do have the Panthers at number one.
Yeah, no, I tend to agree with you. I was kind of leaning Saints, but Alvin Kamara not being there for the first 6 games really hurts. I do think once he's back, I do think they have a better rushing attack. Just
I can get down with that. I can't ignore the
yeah
6 games.
I think part of the Panthers thing for me is like I'm like I'm one season. I wouldn't even say one full season. I am like one more injury away from being out completely on CMC.
I feel you, dude.
You talk about, and maybe this is just, being bitter from fantasy football the last few seasons, but this dude has bit me hard. And it just seems like, comes on the field for a couple plays, tweaks a hamstring, and then he's
Never
done
stops,
for the next.
bro.
Yeah, just in and out of the lineup. So it creates like inconsistency, but I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt here. I'm giving the Panthers the number one. Even Chuba Hubbard behind him, he's a solid running back as well, so I'm not going to discount him. But yeah, CMC effective in the passing game, which makes him more effective in the rushing game. Obviously Baker Mayfield helps him as well. So yeah, I think the Panthers are set to have the best rushing attack like you said, as long as CMC can stay healthy. And I think all of this kind of it sucks when it depends on a running back because they're the player that gets beat up the most on the offense aside from offensive linemen. And you're relying on him to basically catapult your offense, passing game and rushing attack. He's kind of controlling all of it, and his availability controls that. So it's scary, but as of right now, on paper, him healthy, they have the best rushing attack.
And if we're just getting down to simply week one, who's got the best rushing attack week one in this division? There's no Kamara.
Yeah.
So that takes the Saints out of the picture right there for number one. And the CMC thing real quick before we get into the defensive side is I had him last year. I took him number one back-to-back years in fantasy football. I had him last year. I remember, I'm pretty sure he got hurt week one. I think he scored once or twice. Then he got hurt, right? He misses a couple weeks. I'm like, here we go again. I think it was his hamstring. He comes back, and it was a Thursday night game. Now, when we do Turf Talk on Thursday nights, we give out best bets, and we do player props, and we try to give out some money there for the people. And he was back against the Texans on Thursday Night Football. Scotty, the third possession of the game, he doesn't even get hit. He just runs out of bounds. And next thing you know, he starts hobbling and he grabs the leg. And I'm like, and he was done. He was done. Yeah. He was out for multiple weeks again. Is this dude for real, man? I get it. A hammy isn't a contact injury. I get all that. But it's just like, man, nothing even happened to you, my God. Weren't you just resting up for 5 weeks? Like, what happened?
I'm fading him in all.
Yeah, dude. Like, there's no way. Like, if everyone starts to fade him and he's there late second, early third round, because he's a top. Realistically, he's probably a top 3 fantasy draft pick if he's healthy.
Yeah,
right?
If he's healthy.
So if everyone fades on him and it's like, okay, let's say you go out, you get Derrick Henry or Jonathan Taylor or whatever early in the draft, first 2-3 picks. If he comes around and he's there, I might have to take a flyer and risk the injury because if that works out for you fantasy football people, that would be nuts. But you're going to be super pissed again when his hammy pulls up in week 2 and he misses 8 more weeks.
I remember that game specifically against the Texans.
Horrible, dude.
We had a ton. We had a ton on that game, on CMC in that game because he was the only exciting factor of the game was his return, and completely disappointing, man. But like you said, hopefully he can stay healthy this year. It got to the point last year where he was ready to come back, but it was like too late in the season. They sucked real bad, so he didn't bring him back at all.
Yeah,
I'm
man, it was
interested. I
rough.
just want to see CMC, be successful. He's one of the best, players in the league. So hopefully he can stay healthy.
All right, let's get into the defensive side of the ball. We'll try to run through the defense a little bit quicker before we get into our fantasy draft here. Pass defense, Scotty. This one's going to be interesting. But surprise, surprise, at number 4, the Atlanta Falcons.
Yeah,
I don't really have much. I don't think I have to add on to it.
Nah, forewarning, they're 4th in rushing defense.
Let's just bang that out right now. The Falcons are 4th in every category this breakdown.
And I'm not that down on them. Like, I do like some of the things they have, but no, I just can't put
Grady
them
Jarrett's a nice piece. Okay. Rashaan Evans, AJ Terrell, and Casey Hayward Jr. I'm with it. Lorenzo Carter, maybe. Just a lot of bleh for me.
They're young, man. They got some growing to do. But they're so weird because they're young, and then they got like a few of the veterans like Deion Jones and Casey Hayward, like you mentioned, Grady Jarrett. I do like AJ Terrell. He's set to be a number 1 corner for a good amount of time, but you got to
be very weird. Like,
keep growing.
We've spent a lot of this episode talking about Marcus Mariota and the short. It's going to be weird just as football fans to watch the post Matt Ryan.
Yeah,
Falcons.
I agree.
I mean, Matt Ryan has been the starting quarterback for the Falcons since, 2008, 9, somewhere around there. No, right?
Yeah. I mean, when did he take them to the Super Bowl? When was that? When they blew that league?
Well, that was 2016.
That was 2016. So yeah, he's been in the league for a while.
But yeah, like 2010, 2011, somewhere around there. So it's going to be weird just to see, whenever a quarterback that's been tenured by, for so long is gone. It's weird, and especially when it's not a smooth adjustment.
Yeah, it's Marcus Mariota.
Right. The next guy, up isn't going to help their case. So
they should have. I wonder why they didn't get involved. If you wanted a veteran quarterback, get involved in like the Jimmy G sweepstakes or something. You know what I mean? He's better than Marcus Mariota.
Maybe they're just also looking at where they're at from
right
an organizational standpoint.
Yeah,
they're tanking but not tanking. It's not going to hurt them.
Want to put something serviceable on the field, but obviously not going to win.
Right, exactly. I'm with you. So yeah. So just Falcons are number 4 for everything. Okay.
Yeah.
Number 3, pass rush / run defense in this division. For me, it is the Carolina Panthers. More so what the other 2 teams have and what they don't. I do like what this Panthers team has defensively, but it's more so in their secondary. When you look at their front 7, I mean, Shaq Thompson's nice, Corey Littleton. After that, I mean, what do you want me to say about that?
Brian Burns is a top. He's a top edge rusher as well. But I'm with you. I got the Panthers as number 3 as well. Yeah, I was just checking. Brian Burns had 9 sacks last year, so he's solid.
Well, also timeout. We didn't even get into this key subtraction. Hassan Reddick is a Philadelphia Eagle.
Yeah,
so
fair.
They lose that. They lose their edge rushing presence there in Hassan Reddick.
Top edge rusher.
Obviously, thank you.
Facts. I love a lot of what the Panthers have going on, and I'm with you. I have them as number 3 in the passing defense, pass rush as well. I love Brian Burns, Matt Ioannidis, Yetur Gross-Matos. He's actually a pretty solid young pass rusher as well, but that's it. He's solid young pass rusher. Shaq Thompson, you mentioned. Corey Littleton was a nice addition. The secondary is exciting. We'll obviously get into that in the passing defense.
Right.
Excuse me, I'm getting all jumbled here. We are in the passing defense.
No, we're in the pass rush run defense. Pass rush run defense. That's where we are.
Oh, okay. So we are on the run. Yeah. Still, I have the Panthers 3rd and on both lists. Just transparency. I have them 3rd on both lists, defense wise.
Me too. So how about let's just run through both lists together. Okay. Falcons are 4th in pass defense and pass rush / run defense. Panthers are 3.
Yeah.
And I do like what they have in their secondary. When you talk about J.C. Horn, Jeremy Chin, two young pieces there. They bring in Xavier Woods. What is he now? I don't know. C.J. Henderson's there on
Yeah, I
the
like
outside,
that.
and then Dante Jackson as well. It's just, again, it is more so what the top two have than anything, kind of that by
Yeah.
default that we talk about. So getting into my number two, for pass rush / run defense, also same thing as my pass defense, is the New Orleans Saints. When you go up front with Cam Jordan, I mean, conversation over there. Marcus Davenport. I know they lost you brought him up. Or no, I'm sorry. Different team. Marcus Davenport's there. Demario Davis, Tyrann Mathieu, Marshawn Lattimore. You just run. I know they lost Marcus Williams. You run through this entire defense. There's a reason they were the number one rush defense for a large portion of last season. I love Marshawn Lattimore. Love the Honey Badger edition. If they still had Marcus Williams, that would be nuts. They did not, unfortunately. But I have the Saints 2 in both categories, which means I have the Bucks 1 in both categories. If you just go on paper, this defense is a problem. I mean, my God, Vita Vea is the biggest nose tackle in all the NFL, possibly. He's a unit. He's an entire hotel. You cannot move him. When you get to Golston, Akeem Hicks on the edges, Devin White, Levante David, and Shaq Barrett may be the best linebacking core in the NFL. For my money, they probably are. And you get to their secondary, which, took a hit in the beginning of last season. They were very banged up, but Jamal Dean, Carlton Davis, they bring in Logan Ryan, as you mentioned earlier in the show. I love that addition. And Antoine Winfield Jr. And then you move guys back, like Keanu Neal comes in, he's back up. Sean Murphy Bunting's a backup. Ross Cockrell's a backup now. So they're deep, they're talented, and they're number one in both categories for me.
Gotcha. So pass rush, rushing defense. I do agree. I have the Bucks one in that. Like you said, that linebacking core probably one of the best in the NFL. The front seven, they've spoke for themselves the last few years. The pass rush that they're able to bring, the pressure that they put on quarterbacks, it's kind of unfair at times. The Saints, you already talked about it a little bit with them. They've had one of the top defenses all around in the last few seasons. So I just look for them to keep that up. And they've just added, more talent in the secondary. That is why I have the Saints number one in passing defense. The main thing for me, Marshawn Lattimore. I mean, I love Marshawn Lattimore. He's a number one cornerback. He's going to lock down the opposing best receiver. And then you have Tyrann Mathieu, who's a ball hawk. You have Marcus May, who's a solid safety. They even added in some second-tier safeties. Not added in. C.J. Gardner-Johnson, he's been there, but he's a guy that's been there while they've been contending for a long time. Daniel Sorensen, they got him from the Chiefs. He was always like a third, fourth safety for the Chiefs, so fits right in here.
I'm sorry, it's just a little funny because Sorensen is the one who was continuously getting beat in KC secondary. And if you remember, on multiple occasions, Tyrann Mathieu last year throwing his hands up, and now he's got to play with him again. Like, you would think he moves to a different state, a different team, he'd be free from Daniel Sorensen. No. You're still with him. You're going to be on the field with him again. So it's just funny to think about.
Yeah, no, I do, and I like what the Saints have done with their passing, or their secondary, I should say. So I got them number one, Bucks number two in the secondary. Still love the Bucks and what they have there. It's nothing personal against them, just a little bit of a preference thing there. But both defenses are going to be solid. And then Bucks number one, rushing pass rush. We already talked about that. Right. So I think the Bucks Saints consensus best defense. Bucks Panthers consensus best offenses in the division so far. So it's kind of the feel I'm getting.
I agree with you. And again, if Alvin Kamara was available for the entire season, if he was not suspended the first 6 games of the regular season, the Saints could very well be the second best offense in this division. Yeah. Although I like Baker more than Jameis, I think the Saints have a little bit more. But listen, when you're missing that big piece, when you're missing your best offensive weapon for 6 games, it pushes you back down a little bit. So let's get into our division rankings at the end of the year, what this division will shape out like, and we'll move on to our fantasy draft, Scotty. So number 4, surprise, the Atlanta Falcons. There's not much to say. I don't see a world in which this team wins more than 3 or 4 games this season. They're not good. Matt Ryan was the only reason they were even relevant last season and the season before that. They have nothing at the quarterback position, in my opinion. I'm sorry if I'm being a little too harsh. Dude, you can't lose your job to Ryan Tannehill 3 years ago, if not 3 years ago, and then be a backup for the last couple of seasons and expect to just come in. Like, that's why I'm saying the Falcons want to be relevant, but they're tanking. Like, you have to know you're not going to win games with Marcus Mariota under center. So, well, I think you do see Desmond Ridder at some point this season. Yeah. Falcons number 4. They're not going to win more than 3 or 4 games.
Yeah, I have the Falcons number 4 as well, and their schedule's brutal too. This whole division schedule's pretty brutal, but yeah, I got the Falcons number 4 with you.
Good. I mean, I hope they do have a brutal schedule because they deserve it for what they're trying to do. But hey, it's going to help their tank out a little bit. At number 3, I had the New Orleans Saints.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure we had this last year. And I had this again this year. I think the Alvin Kamara suspension crushes them. I think they could start. I didn't look at the first 6 games. Probably stupid of me to come out with this statement without looking at the first 6 games. But I have the Saints. I don't think they can win. I don't think they go 500 with Jameis Winston without Alvin Kamara. Let me just I'm just interested to see. I do not want the preseason. Okay, Falcons. Well, there's a W.
3 straight division games.
Right, but then after that, they're going to lose to the Bucs. They're going to lose to the Panthers. I think they're going to lose to the Vikings. What's that in London? 9:30 a.m. has to be.
Yeah.
I think they're going to lose to the Vikings. They're going to beat Seattle, I think, at home. And then they're going to lose to the Bengals. They're going to lose to the Cardinals. They're going to lose to the Raiders. They're going to, even with Alvin Kamara back, they're going to lose to the Ravens. They're going to lose to the Rams. They're going to lose to the Bucs. They're going to lose to the dude. They have a tough schedule as well. So yeah, I think the Alvin Kamara suspension kills them. And then by the time he gets back, I think problems are going to be happening in New Orleans. So the Saints will be the Aints this year.
See, yeah, so I have the Panthers 3rd.
Okay.
And it's mainly because of their schedule. I think they're going to get pummeled early in the season. I think it's going to be too much for them, honestly. That is honestly what I'm going off of here. And if it plays out different, then good for them. But I have them, I had the Falcons around 4 wins. I have the Panthers around 5 or 6. And it's really just the way they start. So you look at the start of the season, you got the Browns.
Dude, I think they go 3-0. I mean, we're talking about the Deshaun Watson-less Browns, correct?
Still though.
Nah, come on, man.
Still, the Panthers are not that good, man. Like the Browns, the Browns can beat them with Jacoby Brissett, in my opinion. Their defense the Browns' defense is so good they could lock the Panthers up. I don't know.
We're going to be talking about it week 1.
They could go 3-0. They could go 3-0. I get you because they should beat the Giants. Saints. I think the Saints, man, even without Kamara, I think that's a toss-up even.
I like it, bro. Scotty might say you should, dude, just take the under on the Panthers win total this season.
What is it? What is their what's the expect? I'll have to take a look because I'm looking. So you got the Browns. Let's just say they beat the Browns, they beat the Giants, and they beat the Saints. Then you got the Cardinals, 49ers, Rams, Buccaneers, Falcons. We give them that one. Bengals, Falcons, Ravens, Broncos, Seahawks, Steelers are tough, Lions, blah, Bucks again, and then Saints again. I mean, that's brutal. Every other game is against like a contender, if not like back-to-back. Like you look at that stretch, Cardinals, 49ers, Rams, Bucks, and then skip a game, Bengals, skip a game, Ravens, Broncos, skip a game, Steelers, skip a game, Bucks. where do they get their W's? I don't know. I think the whole division, it's hard to measure because, like, how good do you think this division is overall? And they just have a brutal schedule in my eyes. And I don't think, you look at a lot of these common opponents, the Rams, it looks like they're playing the NFC West this year. So I think that's partly the problem.
Dude.
Yeah. And
Their
then
over under set at 6.5.
6.5. So, yeah.
Take
I
the
don't know.
over.
What's your 7 wins for the Panthers?
My 7 wins. Hold on. I'm telling you now, they start 3-0.
So you give them the first 3, and that's giving them a leash there.
Mm-hmm.
So 3 in the first 3 games. Let's
I'm not going to lie to you. After the 3, we might drop 4 in a row.
That's what if they win 3 in a row, they're dropping 4 in a row.
All right. So that's 3 wins. They're beating the Falcons twice.
4-5.
Okay. They're beating the Seahawks.
6. And then you would have to have them beating the Saints twice. I mean, the Lions, they should.
Or the Steelers.
Steelers, their quarterback. I get it. That's the thing with the Steelers.
And that's if they drop 4 in a row. That's if they drop 4 in a row. I mean, listen, I think I like the roster a whole lot more than I like the favor of the schedule because
I feel you.
I'm struggling to pull out 8 wins here, 7 wins, but I do think they could be a playoff team. So
those first 3 are just brutal for me. The Saints, I think, if they can weather the storm, the start of the schedule isn't as bad as the Panthers, I would say. So if you can get through that, just get maybe 1 or 2 wins at the beginning during Alvin Kamara's absence. Don't get me wrong. I don't have the Saints, world beaters.
No.
I have them coming around, not even 500, around the 7 to 8 win mark. So you could probably move them. We probably have the Saints and the Panthers flip flop there.
We do.
It's an interesting combo, though. It's an interesting because
let me throw one more win total at you.
Teams.
Let me throw one more win total at you.
Yeah.
The Falcons over under is 5. Under, bro.
Yeah. Let me see how their schedule plays out. But yeah, I would probably lean
I'm trying
under
to find
for
the
that.
Saints for you.
So I mean, yeah, the Falcons, Saints, Rams, Seahawks.
Dude, that's bold, man. The Saints over under is 8. But the over is minus 135. The under is plus 115. So they're telling you over 8. And man, I'm not saying it. Any team with Jameis, like regardless if Alvin Kamara is around, I don't see Jameis Winston going 9-8.
Yeah, I had him at 8 and 9. So I had him right underneath the 500 mark. Which, I mean, what was their record last year?
Don't know.
Borderline playoff team.
Yeah.
I think they were right around 500 again. So I mean, if they did that last year without Jameis Winston, I mean, I don't know. It's hard to say. It's really the division that's kicking me, honestly. I'm just trying to see what their record was last year. Why is this not easier to find?
Hold on.
2021, they were 9-8. So I guess maybe they're projecting it off last year. The team hasn't changed that much. You get Jameis back, but you lose Kamara for 6 games. So I don't know. It's going to be interesting. That schedule for all these teams, as you can see, the common opponents are just a little ridiculous.
Yeah.
You get contender after contender. It looks like they got the whole AFC North. So the Ravens, Bengals, Steelers, so on and so forth, Browns. And then you got I think they got one opponent from the AFC West each.
Right.
So that's another tough one. And then the NFC West as well. So rough. Talk about 3 of the best divisions in football, right?
So Scotty's going Saints 2, Panthers 3. I'm going Panthers 2, Saints 3.
Yep.
Flip a coin with either of them.
Yeah.
Don't like the schedules for either. So we'll see. And at number 1,
Bucks.
Come on.
Easy.
I don't. no need to say more.
I have them at like 11, 12 wins.
Yeah,
I
best
mean, they're a
quarterback,
good team.
best roster,
Contender.
Super Bowl contender,
Yeah.
going to win the division again, like you said, going to win 11, 12 games. So we'll see. But that's how it plays out. So Bucks 1, Panthers 2, Saints 3, Falcons 4 for me. Bucks 1, Saints 2, Panthers 3, Falcons 4 for Scotty. All right, let's get this thing rolling, Scotty.
Yeah, let's get it.
So let's get to our fantasy draft portion of the show. So we're going to be drafting our all NFC South 2022 teams today. I had the first pick last week, so Scotty's got it this week, and Jesus Lord.
Yeah, brother.
Oh,
you know
boy.
what I'm taking, bro.
God, hold on. Don't here. I'm just going to.
Yeah.
I'm going to put it there for you.
Some of these divisions are brutal with the quarterbacks, man. I mean, even last week, it's not that I wanted Kirk Cousins, but what options do you? Kirk Cousins better than
I can't wait. At least we get to do like the AFC West at some point, and we can
that'll be
have some fun with it. I mean, geez, like the drop off I'm going to have. But all right, so Scotty goes to GOAT at number 1. At number 2, I think I got to find an edge somewhere. And I think I'm going to go right here and take Kyle Pitts.
Oh, man, I was dead ass. I thought you said edge.
No, I meant like edge. I meant like edge over you in a position.
I literally was like, oh, yes, he's going he's going like a.
I got to get you somewhere, dude.
Oh, that's hilarious. Oh, man, I wanted Kyle Pitts. Let me see here. No, let me make this easy. I'm going to go Marshawn Lattimore, CB1.
Ooh. What's happening?
Early morning dysfunction.
I know. Marshawn Lattimore goes to Scotty. Now, this is difficult. Do I want to load up on offense, or do I want to go to the defensive side of the ball?
I know, man, because
I think I am actually going to take my edge here. I think I'm going to go Cam Jordan.
Okay. So
might be a little early for him, but I don't love the edge positions in some other teams. So
I am gonna go. I'm gonna go Mike Evans here.
All right. Damn, I was going there soon.
I was, that's the thing. You gotta think about what you're gonna pick.
Mm-hmm. It's tough, dude.
What's scarce? It is interesting. It's fun.
All right, I'm gonna go with Levante David.
I like it. And then I'm going to go Vita Vea here.
Ooh. All right. I want to go Devin White.
Fair enough.
I love their linebackers.
And I will go ahead and, well, no, I'm not going to do that actually. Let me see here. I think I need to get an edge. I'm gonna go Brian Burns on the edge.
Like it. I was thinking about it. All right, I am going to go Honey Badger.
Nice.
I think I spelled that last name correctly.
Let me see. Yeah, I think you did.
Yeah, we're in there.
All right, so you took the Honey Badger. I'm gonna go Jeremy Chin.
Ooh. Safety. Damn, man, I'm putting your guys in the wrong spot. What's happening here?
What's that? Oh. early Sunday morning jitters.
Dang, there we go. All right, I am going to go with. Wow, might be the only Falcon select. Well, actually, I already took Kyle Pitts. I think I'm going to go with Casey Hayward Jr. I want to take the upside and hope that the ball hawk can come out.
I like it.
He had a hell of a year in with the Chargers. What, 2 years ago?
Yeah. Yeah, he's solid. He's been a vet for a while. He's a good player for sure. I am gonna go. Damn, I feel like I'm going like heavy Panthers. Do I want J.C. Horn or A.J. Terrell? I'm gonna go J.C. Horn. Actually,
Damn it!
I loved him. Wanted him in the draft. I wanted him in the draft, like in the real draft for the Eagles.
Shit. Damn it, Scotty.
We're stacking up on the defense, bro.
I know, bro.
You kind of got to. I think that's what we're learning through these drafts is you gotta get in, especially on them linemen and those DBs.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna go Logan Ryan.
Yeah, I like it. I was definitely going there soon. So I need 2 linebackers. I need 2 defensive linemen. All right, I'm going to go Derek Brown, defensive tackle from the Panthers. Damn, I'm sacking up on Panthers right now.
All right, and then for me, this one's tough. You know what? I think I'm going to go with DJ Moore.
That's good. That was a good one. And I think after DJ Moore, that's where the wide receiver position gets really interesting in that division. Because I had my rankings here, like just wide receivers in the division. I had like Mike Evans, DJ Moore, Chris Godwin is the guy, but
right,
it's coming off a torn ACL.
Well, Michael Thomas is in the conversation if he's anything what he was 2 years ago,
right?
But
we just haven't seen him in forever.
Right.
Then you got Drake London and Chris Olave, of course, as well. Let me see. So we got Grady Jarrett, got Marcus Davenport, William Golston. Actually, some really solid pass rushers in here. I'm gonna go Marcus Davenport.
And
yeah. Yeah, he's a defensive.
Scotty's line is filled up, so I technically
don't really have to do anything.
Right, I can wait for a second. So yeah, I think I got to go Chris Godwin. That's what we'll do there.
I'm gonna go CMC here.
Ooh.
And I actually do love Kamara more than CMC. Yeah. It's just that suspension, but I'm not sure how much you got to even factor that in here.
Right. This is tough. I guess I'm going to go AJ Terrell here.
That's probably where I would go if I was you.
Yeah, that's what I'll
do. Okay, so I need a safety. I need a linebacker. Let me go ahead. I'm going to grab Shaquille Barrett.
Shaq Barrett. All right. I'm going to go Akeem Hicks here.
Okay.
As my other edge.
So we got Shaq Barrett. There's a couple linebackers in this division too, man. Deion Jones. He's a little older now. Shaq Thompson.
Can I take my pick back?
Yeah, I don't care.
I think I'm going to go Grady Jarrett.
Yeah, I would probably go there too.
I stayed away from the Falcons, and I'm like, who's there? So yeah, I'll go Grady Jarrett.
So I need another safety. Chin is my strong safety, so I need a free safety.
I wasn't even paying attention to that, so you can go wherever.
Oh, gotcha.
We're just going safeties. I'm not going to worry about,
So, I guess Marcus May or Xavier Woods. I'm going to lean Marcus May.
All right. I'm just going to take Kamara now.
Michael Thomas, or do I want to go one of the young guys? I don't know. I like Drake London's chances. I'm gonna go Michael Thomas. And then what? I just need a tight end and a linebacker.
Yeah, I think so. I'm just going to take him now. I'm going to go Baker.
Yep. Tight end, I'll go Tommy Tremble from the Panthers. Not
Tremble?
a ton of options. Yeah.
Don't know if I spelled that right.
Yeah.
Nope, didn't. There we go.
There we go.
All right. What do I just need my tackles, man. Uh-oh. This is where the roster can get ugly.
Yeah, it's where it gets tough, man. That's why I grabbed who was it? Derek Brown. Yeah, I grabbed him early there because I started looking around. It was looking scarce.
You did. I mean, do I want Shy Tuttle? Oh my god, and two of them play 3-4. My god. I guess I'm gonna go with Ioannidis.
That's a solid one. What, he came from Washington, right?
I forget, dude.
DC, I think he played for him. He was solid. And then for me, I got a nice little option here with linebackers. Let me see. So I could go Demario Davis, Deion Jones.
It's nice that you have options.
And they're all pretty solid. I won't lie.
Yeah, no, that's nice for you. That's good.
I'm gonna go Demario Davis.
All right.
Cool. Oh, that's Dylan Davis.
I mean, my God, man, what am I supposed to do here? I have to take okay, I'm taking Taquan Graham.
There we go.
Since they play a 3-4 and I'm out of options. All right, so those are the teams. So I want to say that the Twitter folks are going to go with Team Scotty here. And Scotty, I just realized since I was away and you were away and we pre-recorded last week's episode, we did not put our NFC North teams out. And I'm a little upset by that because you won week 1 and I thought I would win week 2 with my quarterback. So we might have to get both out together.
Yeah, we could. Well, I would just do them separate, but you know what I mean. But yeah, I think we should put them both out today
because I think I'm losing this battle here. And I like my team, dude. Like Kamara, DJ Moore, Chris Godwin, Kyle Pitts. I love my edge rushers. I love my secondary. I love my linebackers. But you get down to the tackles, and then I mean the quarterback matchup is just come on.
What I noticed, the people on Twitter, TikTok, they're going to be attracted to names.
Yeah.
So they see certain names on there and a lot of names they won't know, especially in those linebacking DB spots, defensive lineman spots. So I think a lot of it is, just spectatorship, but it's fun nonetheless. The one area you got me though, Kyle Pitts, man, because the drop off there is just tremendous.
Right. And listen, and hey, I'm with you, but the people are going to look at the drop off from Brady to Baker because I know there's a lot of Baker haters out there.
They're going to look at Brady. The wide receivers are pretty solid. I would say you got better wide receivers if Chris Godwin is like fully healthy, but once again, I don't think.
I mean, I'd say you have better wide receivers if Michael Thomas is Michael Thomas.
Huh? That's fair.
Running back is a toss-up.
Legitimately.
One's suspended, one's always hurt.
Yeah.
Um, I like my edge rushers a little bit better, but your tackles
Yeah.
absolutely crush mine. The linebackers are the linebackers. I mean, Jesus, there's 3
Stacked.
Tampa Bay
Yeah.
linebackers in there. And then when you get to the secondary, you really can't. I mean, if any team had this secondary, they'd be the
Either
best.
one.
Either
Yeah.
secondary would be the best secondary in the National Football League.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Fun,
man.
man. I love this. I love it.
All right. So we're going on the hour and 11 mark here. So let's wrap up this this episode with our top 10 running backs. So every other week, I think, or every week starting now, because we are getting closer towards training camp, we will get into our top 10 list. So we've already done our top 10 tight ends heading into the 2022 season. Those are posted on our Twitter at DSM_media. So go check that out if you want to check out mine and Scotty's rankings. Today, we're going to do running backs, because I think 2 of the top 10 running backs are in this division, regardless of injury history and suspension pending. So it'll be interesting to see where we go here. I say we go 10-6, 10-6, 5-1, 5-1, just to speed it up a little bit. So if you want to start us off, go right ahead, Scott.
Yeah, so 10-6. Coming in at 10, I got Najee Harris out of the Pittsburgh Steelers. Solid last year. Workhorse. The only concern with Najee Harris, Steelers going to run him into the ground with their quarterback situation. That's my only worry there. But other than that, 1,200 yards rushing, 450 plus yards receiving, 10 touchdowns total. Najee Harris, number 10. Number 9, I got Austin Eckler. Love his ability in the passing game as well as the running game. Last year, he went over 1,500 all-purpose yards, 20 touchdowns total. So got him coming in at number 9. Number 8, feel like Aaron Jones is starting to lose some steam with the A.J. Dillon hype picking up, but I still love Aaron Jones. Think he's going to be even more important this year without Devontae Adams in that Green Bay offense, especially in the passing game. Get him involved this year, but I love Aaron Jones at 8. Number 7, I got my man Joe Mixon from Cincinnati. He went up over 1,500 yards all-purpose last year as well, 16 touchdowns. He's going to be a main focus in that offense, and he's going to get a lot of work. He's going to get a lot of space because they got weapons on the outside that make people work. So I love Joe Mixon. And number 6, we got the first hint of this division, Alvin Kamara, coming in at number 6. And, it's really just with all due respect to the people above him. And if we were talking from a fantasy perspective, I may put Kamara higher just for
right.
pass catching ability. But he's out 6 games. I factor that in a little bit. That's nothing serious, but really just as far as how much do I love these running backs, what they do, their skill set.
Yeah.
Kamara, he had up over 1,200 all-purpose yards last year, 9 touchdowns. He had a little bit of a down year. He's a little beat up last year. We'll see if his heavy workload starts to catch up to him yet, but I do have him finishing out 6-10 there at 6.
So it's funny you bring up fantasy, man, because I think some people get it twisted a little. This is not, for me at least, it's not a fantasy football top 10.
Yeah.
Fantasy could be put into it because guess what fantasy numbers bring? Production, right?
Exactly.
Yardage, attempts, touchdowns, everything that goes into it. So obviously production goes into the running back position a lot when we're talking about it. But I'm also talking about, like you said, their skill set, what they bring to the team, and just overall how good of a running back they are.
Yeah.
So a bunch of it goes into it. So you started off your list with number 10, and I'll give him an honorable mention. I do not have Najee Harris in my top 10. He's bored. I sent you about 20 running backs, 15 running backs the other day. I have my top 5. I have my top 6, and then 7 to 10 is like a number of these dudes can fit into here any way, shape, or form you want to do it. I had to narrow it down.
Yeah.
Najee Harris is right outside of it for me. Number 10, I do have Austin Eckler. The way this dude has become he's a lesser version of CMC to me. Like the way he catches the ball out of the backfield, the way he's a dual threat out of the backfield for the Chargers, he's a huge part of their offense. I know Justin Herbert's a phenom. I know they had Mike Williams, Keenan Allen on the outside. Austin Eckler is incredibly important to what the Chargers do, and he does it on the ground. He does it through the air as well. I have him at number 10. Feels like he's in the end zone every week almost.
Yeah.
At number 9, I have your boy Joe Mixon. probably last year I would have had him slightly outside the top 10. I just didn't think he had the production to be in the top 10. But last year he took a step. Like having Joe Burrow, having these wide receivers, it opens up everything. So yes, they're going to be a pass heavy offense, but Joe Mixon's still going to get, what would you say, 16, 17 carries a game, maybe a little more some games. Yeah. And he's going to have hole after hole to run through. They bolstered their offensive line a bit in the offseason. I had Joe Mixon at number 9. Number 8, a guy you haven't mentioned. I doubt he's even going to be on your list because I don't know if you're going to have him top 5. I doubt you would. I have Ezekiel Elliott. It hurts me to say it as an Eagles fan. Dude, I think people forget how good he still is. I was having this conversation with a Cowboys fan the other day who's like actually getting tired of Zeke as well. And I wanted to look it up. So they were like, when's the last time he went over 1,000 yards? Okay, well, since Ezekiel Elliott has come in the league, his rookie year, he went for over 1,600 yards, 15 touchdowns. The year after that, in 2017, he had 983 yards, but he had 80 less carries. He went from 322 to 242. Year 2018, he had 1,434. 2019, he had 1,357. Now, he went from 301 carries to 244 in 2020, where he had 979 yards and 6 touchdowns. And last year, on only 237 carries, he went for over 1,000 yards and 10 touchdowns with 47 receptions. So I'm sorry. The whole Ezekiel Elliott is washing. And I don't even know why I'm getting so passionate about it because I hate him and I hate the stinking Cowboys. But it bothers me when people just like throw talent to the side a bit. He is a damn good running back in this league. You will not find guys that go for over 1,000 year in and year out for over half a decade very often. He's doing it, and he's doing it on way less production. The knock on Zeke right now is he doesn't look to have the burst the last 2 years that he used to have. And he's putting the ball on the ground a lot. He's still averaging 4 yards per carry. He's never been under 4 yards per carry in his entire career. And he looks slimmer this season. So don't know why I just got so passionate about a freaking Cowboy. But I think I think he's still top 10. At number 7, I have Aaron Jones. For the same reasons, but a little bit different reasons as I have Joe Mixon, same as you. So Aaron Jones is a guy who 2 years ago didn't have the stats. Joe Mixon has the weapons, which means I think he's going to see a lot more free space, a lot more holes to get through. Aaron Jones lost the weapons, but I think his workload shoots up this season. I think he gets the ball out of the backfield and in the backfield a ton. I have him at 7. And at number 6, same thing, hinting at this division. If healthy, I have Christian McCaffrey. I think if healthy, Christian McCaffrey can be top 5. I have to see it first, but I know what the skill level and talent is. I know the production that he's going to get the ball out of the backfield through the air and on the ground. You add in Baker Mayfield, as we talked about. I have CMC at 6.
Gotcha. Yes. The passionate Zeke, that spiel, we'll have to get that clipped out.
Go ahead. Listen, man.
I'm just playing. I get where you're coming from. I do. I did have him listed on my honorable.
We should clip it out. Eagles fan speaks on Ezekiel Elliott.
Zeke. I had DeAndre Swift as honorable mention. Ant Gibson.
Yeah, Josh Jacobs. They're all right.
Javonte Williams is another guy I like out of Denver. Wish Melvin Gordon wasn't there just so he could get the full workload. But he still make it majority anyways. But he's another honorable mention. I love his run style. With Zeke, I get, when you look at the numbers, I definitely feel where you're coming from. And I guess maybe what I'm counting on, and I might have been counting on it the last few seasons, is when he's going to reach that cliff, right, that we talked about with Tom Brady. Just
no, I hear you, but I think people think he's already there.
Yeah,
I think that's where I'm getting twisted. Too. Like, bro, he went for over 1,000 with almost 80 less carries from the year before, and he had double-digit touchdowns. Like, what are we talking about? If that's a cliff, that is the craziest cliff I've seen.
I don't know. I think part of it, part of the inclination to feel that way about Zeke is partially just because of what else they have in the backfield. So, like, when Tony Pollard comes in and he brings that, that spark to the offense.
Right, I get it.
People get intrigued by that, which I get it. I thought the offense looked better with Tony Pollard last season as well.
But Scotty, see, when it comes to that, Tony Pollard's a much better running back than what I'm about to bring up. But when I get that feeling, that's like when Eagles fans watch Miles Sanders struggle and then Boston Scott go off for a game and they think Boston Scott should be RB1 and he's the better running back than Miles Sanders. Like Tony Pollard he's a lot better than Boston Scott. But
Yeah, I think he's better. I think he's probably on Miles Sanders level.
Who?
Tony Pollard, I
Right,
think
but he's
skill
not
level
on
wise.
Ezekiel Elliott's level. I don't think so. I think he gets
I
limited
don't know,
work.
man. I maybe I'm hating on Zeke a little bit. I think he does. He's still a good back. I'm not taking that. Like, just because he's not top 10 on my list doesn't make him
No.
not. I'm not speaking to you. I'm just like
Yeah.
speaking in general. Just because he's not top 10 doesn't make him not a good back. I'm just not 100% sure that he should get the boatload in Dallas, but we'll see how it is. He was an honorable mention. 5 through 1. So I'll pick up where you left off there. I actually have CMC
Okay.
at number 5. It's all injury dependent, man. He could be a lot higher, he could be a lot lower, depending on his injury status, his health status. Coming in at number 4, I do have Dalvin Cook. He's another guy where I'm like, when is the workload going to catch up to him? He's a guy that's often injured as well. But I'm still riding with him here. He had a good season
I
last
feel like he
year.
always has major injuries too, dude.
He does, man. He has like season-ending injuries,
Yeah.
and it sucks when it happens because he'll tear you up every other game when he's healthy. Number 3 got Nick Chubb, Browns. I love him. I think he's going to get more carries this year as well. I think they'll lean on him a little bit more than Kareem Hunt. But it's more his style. He's just like that brute force running back. Almost similar to what Zeke used to do, that explosion at least. They have a similar run style in my eyes. Coming in at number 2, Derrick Henry. I know he was injured last year. He's still the guy. He's still going to get a hell of a workload down there. You lose AJ Brown, it's going to mean more carries for Derrick Henry, unfortunately. And then number 1, I think Jonathan Taylor's he's taken over the league running back status. And he's just your prototype. I mean, you look at the production, it's fucking ridiculous, man. I mean, what, 330 attempts, fine. That's a lot, I guess. The most on the list, I guess you could say.
It's a lot, yeah.
It's a lot. 1,800 rushing yards. So he's approaching that 2,000-yard mark. 18 rushing touchdowns, 40 receptions, 360 receiving yards, 2 receiving touchdowns. So 20 touchdowns total, up over 2,000 scrimmage yards. Dude's ridiculous. But yeah, I got Jonathan Taylor rounding out my 5 through 1 there.
Man, I don't have much to explain, do I? Because outside of my number 5, where I have Alvin Kamara, who was your 6, we flip-flop CMC and Kamara. We have the same rest of the list.
Same.
I have Dalvin Cook at 4. I have Nick Chubb at 3. Dalvin Cook could very easily be top 3. I just love Nick Chubb. Like Nick Chubb, you talk about you mentioned prototype with Jonathan Taylor, and I get it because of the numbers and production. But when I see running back, and I see the build, the body, the speed, the power, the carries per game, Nick Chubb is a monster, dude. Yeah. Straight up. If Kareem Hunt wasn't there, now I'm not saying that doesn't benefit him in some ways, gives him a rest. It keeps the defense on their toes because Kareem Hunt is a damn good running back as well. So they have a very hard 1-2 punch. But if he wasn't there and they were like, if he had a Jonathan Taylor experience where Nick Chubb, it was Nick Chubb. I know Nyheim Hines plays a bit, but it's all Jonathan Taylor down there. Yeah. I think Nick Chubb would be even higher. But so I have Dalvin Cook at 4. I have Nick Chubb at 3. That's after Kamara being 5, obviously. And then I agree with you. If AJ Brown was still a Titan, I would possibly have Derrick Henry number 1. Just heading into this year, because I think I know you just mentioned 1,800 yards to 20 touchdowns. So Jonathan Taylor is my number 1 as well. But Derrick Henry was just around that 2,000 mark, 2 straight seasons before? Yeah. But I do think the lack of weapons now in Tennessee is going to hurt him a bit. I think you saw Cincinnati. If you stack the box, it's not going to stop Derrick Henry, but I think you've seen ways to slow him down a bit. His body takes a beating. No offense, you can't run him 33 times a game and expect him to just stay healthy all the time. So I think the loss of their skill position players, the loss of AJ Brown hurts Derrick Henry. I think it's kind of a 1A, 1B kind of conversation there with those two. And
Yeah.
I think the same with Chubb and Cook. I think they're kind of 2A, 2B of how you want to flip them. Kamara, McCaffrey, we flipped them, so you could say the same thing. And then 7 through 10 is incredibly tough. And like you said, you can name about 6 to 7 more backs that are right around that 10 conversation. So the running backs, there's a lot of good running backs in this league. It's just crazy that you get a lot of it by committee now, which is
that's kind of the shift that you're seeing is
right.
A ton of these guys could put up the 2,000-yard seasons like we always see, or not, I shouldn't say always see, but like we see from top-level backs throughout NFL history, but they just don't get the workload. You see Aaron Jones getting split up with A.J. Dillon. You have, CMC and Chuba Hubbard now. Chuba Hubbard. I said his name backwards.
Right. I would say the top.
Hunt, you know what I mean? Like,
I would say the top 5 probably get them like Derrick Henry and Jonathan Taylor. Like I know Hines is
they're going to get their carries.
They're going to average close to 30 carries. They're probably going to average 26, 27 carries a game, if not a little higher some games. Yeah. Chubb, even though Kareem Hunt's there, Chubb's going to get the ball over 20 times a game. Cook, Alexander Madison's there. He's still going to get the ball over 20 times a game. Kamara is going to get the ball around 20 times a game, depending if they're losing, if they're down too much or not. So those guys get the workload. But then after that, I think you see a lot of guys around that 17 carry, 18 carry type of thing, because there's another guy coming in stealing 8 carries a game, 9 carries a game, which didn't happen before. But a lot of good backs. The only other thing I'll add in about the top, the number 1 on my list with Jonathan Taylor is, listen, I think people were way too hard on Carson Wentz last year in Indy. Like I know how the season ended, so I get it's warranted, and he should, and I'm glad they moved on, most likely. But the numbers were there outside of the loss. Yeah. So is it a better fit with Matt Ryan, or what do you like? Does the Matt Ryan addition, Carson Wentz subtraction help Jonathan Taylor's case here? Because everyone's going to tell you yes. But if you look at the numbers, Wentz did not turn the ball over a lot like people act like he did last year. He's probably a little bit more explosive than Matt Ryan's going to be to open things up. But Matt Ryan, people had this perspective that Matt Ryan's going to be more safe with the football. And I don't know. I don't know if that's the case this year.
Yeah, I don't know. If anything, I would see them in the same light. Honestly, I don't think it's like an upgrade or even a detractor to say in a sense.
No, I think Indy needs more skill position players.
I think Wentz is a better quarterback overall, but I think it could balance out with just Matt Ryan being better in specific moments.
That's true.
So once again, I think you just end up in the same spot.
Right.
And, you know what I mean?
Final question of this list. Obviously, Jonathan Taylor rounding out our list at number 1, the 2021 rushing champ. Who would you put your money on being the rushing champ? Would Jonathan Taylor go back again? Derrick Henry, Nick Chubb, Dalvin Cook? Where would your money go? I think it has to be back-to-back, no? Like I said, I think Derrick Henry
He's got to stay healthy. He's lost help.
Chubb's going to split with Kareem Hunt most likely unless he gets moved. And Cook, you got to worry about injuries.
Cook and
Kamara suspended.
Injuries. Yeah. So, I mean, I would lean Jonathan Taylor. A sleeper that I would throw in just because he's probably going to get, worked. He's just going to get worked through the fucking roof.
Aaron Jones?
No, I was actually thinking Najee Harris, just because they're gonna stuff the ball down his throat. But it is hard to say. I think Jonathan Taylor would be my lead guy. Derrick Henry, slight underdog behind him. Those are the only 2 guys I see it from, though. Honestly,
yeah, I'm with you, dude. Unless we get some surprise this year, which we're not expecting. I know a couple fantasy football heads are high on some of the on 2 or 3 of the rookie backs coming out this year.
Maybe. You never know. You never know.
So we'll see. But that was fun, man. So
for sure.
Thank you guys so much for everyone who watched live. If you're going to watch the recap, thank you again. Check us out on Twitter at DSM_media. Hit that follow button. Click the link tree in our bio to take you to every social media platform we're on. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and like this video. We're on our way to 600 subscribers. We're almost there. Help us get there. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitch, TikTok. We post content daily on TikTok as well. We're also on Spotify and Apple Podcast. Scotty, anything for the people regarding Scotty Talks NBA this week?
Yes, so I will be airing a new episode tomorrow at 10 a.m. Scotty Talks NBA. Just going to recap the NBA offseason so far, check in, see what's going on, and just give you my thoughts. But yeah, definitely tune in tomorrow, 10 a.m. Should come on right after Trending in the AM.
All right, everybody. Thank you so much for watching. Enjoy your Sunday. Have a good one.
Peace.